Lesson 5. More tools in Animate CC. You already learnt about some Animate CC tools such as the selection tool, the polygon tool, the lasso tool, etc. In this chapter, we will discuss some more tools and advanced features of Animate CC. Let's discuss basic tools in Animate CC. Brush. Use the Brush tool B to define a brush by setting parameters of the brush such as shape and angle. You can create natural artwork in your projects by customizing the brush tool to suit your drawing needs. You can choose, edit and create a custom brush in Animate through the Property Inspector when the brush tool is selected in the toolbox. Line tool. It creates straight lines, but they can easily be modified. In the Properties panel, you can set the stroke color and turn Object Drawing Mode back on, so that each line will be a separate object. Now you can drag out 3 diagonal lines from the center to the lower right edges of the stage. Pen tool. The pen tool allows for point-to-point drawing and precise control over curves and lines in between. You can even add or remove points to fine-tune your work. If you have used the pen tool in Illustrator CC, you will already be familiar with the pen tool and its related tools. You can draw precise paths such as straight lines and smooth curves. You can also adjust the angle and length of straight lines segments and the slope of curves. Straight lines can be created by simply clicking on the stage, while curved lines can be created by dragging. To use the pen tool, select the pen tool from the Tools panel. In the Properties panel or Tools panel, set your stroke color to black. In the space above your oval, click and release the mouse pointer on the stage to create a new point. Move your pointer to the left of the point you just created and click and release again to create a second point. This point is joined to the first by a new path, line. You can leave the path open or create a closed shape. To complete an open path, double-click the last point or click the pen tool. To close a path, position the pointer over the first point. A small circle will appear next to the pen tip. Click to close the path. Animate CC does not automatically fill the closed path with color. Fill colors have to be applied separately. Drawing curve shapes with pen tool. The steps to create curves using pen tool are: Step 1. Select the pen tool. Step 2. Position the pen tool at the position where the curve is supposed to begin. Hold down the mouse button. Step 3. The first anchor point will appear and the pen tool pointer changes to an arrowhead. Step 4. Drag to set the slope of the curve you want to create and then release the mouse button. Step 5. Place the pen at the position where the curve segment is to end. Then drag it to draw the curve and release the mouse button. Eyedropper tool. Eyedropper tool can be very useful when we have 2 objects and we want to take the color of the first object and want to apply that to the second object. This tool is used to pick up colors and style from existing lines, brush strokes and fills. You then apply these colors and styles to other objects. The eyedropper tool is linked to the paint bucket or ink bottle tool. You pick a color from one object with the eyedropper tool and fill the same color in another object with the paint bucket or ink bottle. To use the eyedropper tool, follow these steps. Step 1. Select the eyedropper tool. You will notice that the pointer changes to an eyedropper. Step 2. Click the line or fill from where you wish to copy the formatting. Step 3. You will notice that the pointer changes to an ink bottle if you select a line color, or to a paint bucket if you select a fill color. Step 4. Click the line or fill to which you wish to apply the copied formatting. Rectangle primitive tool. To draw the oval primitive tool, follow these steps. Step 1. select the Oval Primitive tool from the Tools panel. Step 2. Draw an object on the stage. Use of Rectangle Primitive tool. When we want any object, so mostly use Rectangle tool. We can give any shape to rectangle. The difference between Rectangle and Rectangle Primitive tool is that Rectangle Primitive tool comes with 4 corners, and these corners are made up of points. By these points, we can give any shape we like to primitive rectangle. Rectangle tool is similar to other objects, and it does come with 4 corner points. Importing a picture. To import a clip or any image from your computer system, follow these steps. Step 1. Go to File, Import, Import to Stage or Import to Library. Step 2. Import dialog box appears with several images. Step 3. Select the drive and folder. Step 4. Select the pictures you want to import. Step 5. Click Open. The image will be added to the stage. Now you can work with it in the same way as you worked with other objects. Transforming objects. Once you have an object on the stage, you can transform it in various ways. You can move it, rotate it, or change its shape and size. If a gradient was applied to the object, you can change the gradient in various ways. Free Transform tool. By the Free Transform tool of Adobe Animate, we can freely transform an object. It means we can freely increase the width, height from anywhere. By the Free Transform tool of Adobe Animate, we can freely rotate an object in any direction. Let us consider an example to understand how to use the tool. Draw a figure on the stage or import a picture from the library. Select the object and click the Free Transform tool. As move the pointer over different parts of the selection, it changes to indicate which transformation function is available. Moving an object. Select an object or multiple objects. Select the Selection tool. Position the pointer over the object so that the pointer changes to a cross. To move the object, drag it to the new position. You can use mouse click and drag or use arrow key in the keyboard. Rotating an object. To rotate the selected object, follow the following steps. Step 1. Position the pointer over one of the 4 corner handles. Step 2. When the pointer changes to a curved arrow, drag to rotate the object. Scaling an object. To scale an object in 2 dimensions, follow the following steps. Step 1. Drag a corner handle diagonally. Step 2. To scale the object in a single direction, drag one of the side handles in the desired direction. Gradient Transform tool. After you have applied a gradient to an object, you can transform the gradient by adjusting its size, direction, or center. To modify the gradient fill of an object, follow the steps. Step 1. First, select the Gradient Transform tool. Step 2. Then click on the object that is filled with the gradient. A gradient is a multicolor fill in which one color gradually changes into another color. Animate CC, formerly Flash Professional CC, lets you apply up to 15 color transitions to a gradient. Creating a gradient is a good way to create a smooth color gradation across one or more objects. You can save a gradient as a swatch to make it easy to apply the gradient to multiple objects. Animate can create 2 types of gradients. Linear gradient. It changes color along a single axis, horizontal or vertical. It creates a gradient that shades from the starting point to the end point in a straight line. You can change the gradient fill in any of the following ways. To reposition the center point of the gradient fill, drag the center point. You will be able to drag the point only after the cursor changes to a 4-arrow cursor pointing left to right, up and down. Bring the cursor to the circular handle at the center point for this to happen. To change the width of the gradient fill, drag the width adjustment handle to the left or right. Note that only the gradient is resized, not the object. To rotate the gradient fill, drag the circular rotation handle clockwise or anti-clockwise. Radical gradient produces a gradient that blends outward in a circular path from a central focal point. When you select the Gradient Transform tool and click on an object filled with a radial gradient, it looks as shown in the following figure. As in the case of a linear gradient, you can drag the center point to adjust the center of the gradient. You can also drag the adjustment handles to change the size or radius of the gradient. Changing color transparency of an instance. Certain changes may be made to instances on the stage that do not affect the main symbol. Properties such as size, rotation, tint, and transparency level can be changed on an instance-by-instance basis. We can modify the color properties of a particular instance or change its brightness or transparency. To change color, brightness, or transparency, follow these steps. To modify the gradient fill of an object, follow these steps. Step 1. To change the size, select an instance on the stage. Then go to the Properties panel and expand the Position and Size section if necessary. To keep the size proportional to the original, click the Lock Width and Height icon at the left, then enter the desired size into either the W or H field. Step 2. To change the transparency, select an instance on the stage. Then go to the Properties panel and expand the Color Effect section. Select Alpha from the Style menu. Step 3. Set the alpha value to the desired transparency level. Step 4. A tint is a reduced value in color saturation that is opaque as opposed to translucent, like the example above. Tints can also be applied to tone the original color. To change the tint, click the Style menu under Color Effects again and choose Tint. Grouping outlines and fill. When you draw an object, say a rectangle or a circle, Animate CC creates two objects. One is the outline and the other is the fill. To move the object to a new position, you need to select both the fill and outline. If you do not select both, only the selected part will move. To solve this problem, it is good to group the outline with the fill and make the drawing a single object. Tips: Group selected objects, Ctrl+G. Break apart grouped objects, Ctrl+B. To group the outline and the fill, follow these steps. Using the Selection tool, select both the outline and the fill. Select Modify, Group. Working with text. Animate CC allows you to add text to your images or movies. You can set various attributes for text like the style, font, size, color, alignment, etc. You can also create special effects by manipulating text, just like you manipulate other objects. Use the Text tool. The Text tool is used to insert text on the stage. Let us consider an example to understand the utility of this tool. In the Tools palette, click the big T or use the shortcut key T, and then in your document, click and drag to create a text box. Initially, you don't have to worry too much about positioning or sizing the text box. You can manage those details later. Just go ahead and start typing. Try the phrase "on the edge." The text you enter appears on the stage as shown in figure. If you want to create multiple paragraphs, just press Enter Return as you would in your word processor. When you are done, you can close the text window by pressing Escape or clicking the X button in the upper right corner. To format the text, select the text block and use the Properties panel to set the font, font size, color, and other attributes for the text. To change the orientation of the text, select the text block and use the Properties panel to change text orientation from horizontal to vertical. Converting text into basic shapes. Animate CC has a unique feature to convert text into basic shape. You can reshape a character using the Selection tool. You can also fill characters with a gradient. However, after converting text into a shape, you can no longer edit it as text. To convert text into a basic shape, follow these steps. Step 1. Select the text. Step 2. Select Modify, Break Apart. This breaks the single text block into multiple text blocks. Each character has its own separate text block. The text is in the same position. Step 3. Select Modify, Break Apart once more. The characters can now be converted into shapes. They cannot be considered text anymore. You can no longer change the font, style, font size, etc. In I and, the dot and the vertical line are separate characters. Step 4. Click outside the converted text to deselect the shapes. Now you can manipulate the shapes as any shapes. Move the pointer to the edge of the one of the characters and drag to reshape it. You can use the Paint Bucket tool to fill reshaped character with another color or gradient. Animating text with shape twinning. Adobe Animate CC documents divide lengths of time into frames similar to films. Frames are at the core of any animation, dictating each segment of time and movement. The total number of frames in your movie and the speed at which they are played back together determine your movie's overall length. A brief description of some of the concepts on frames is explained below for your reference. Frames. In the timeline, you work with the frames to organize and control the content of your document. You place frames in the timeline in the order you want the objects in the frames to appear in your finished content. Keyframe. A keyframe is a frame where a new symbol instance appears in the timeline. To apply shape tween to text, follow these steps. Step 1. Create a new Animate CC document. Step 2. Select frame 1. Use the text tool to write on the edge. Step 3. Use the selection tool to select the text and select Modify, Break Apart. Step 4. Select Modify, Break Apart again. Step 5. Select frame 30 and insert a keyframe by pressing F6. Step 6. Delete the old text. Use the text tool again and enter the words and have fun. You can also change the font, color and size of the text if you wish to do. Step 7. With the frame 30 still selected, select the text selection tool. As you did earlier, modify, break apart twice. Keywords. Instance. An occurrence copy of a symbol in Animate CC movie. Keyframe. A keyframe is a frame where a new symbol instance appears in the timeline. Frame. In the timeline, you work with the frames to organize and control the content of your document. Library. A folder in which symbols in Animate CC movie are stored. Symbol. A graphic image, an animation or a button that is stored with Animate CC movie. Quick recap. Linear gradients change color along a single axis, horizontal or vertical. The gradient transform tool is used to transform the gradient applied to an object. The pen tool is used to draw precise paths, such as straight lines and smooth curves. You can import external picture into your Animate CC movie. By the free transform tool of Adobe Animate, we can freely transform, move, rotate or scale an object. Eyedropper tool is used to pick up colors and style from existing lines, brush strokes and fills. Radial gradients change color in an outward direction, starting from a central focal point. You can adjust the direction of a gradient, its colors, the location of the focal point, and many other properties of the gradient. You can change the color and transparency of an instance of a symbol. You can add text to Animate CC movies and change attributes like style, font, size, and color. You can also convert text to shapes using shape twinning option.